ever noticed something strange? The first $100 feels impossible. The first $500 feels slow. The first $1,000 feels like climbing a mountain. But then something unexpected happens. People who save their first $5,000 often find it easier to save the next $5,000, and the next, and the next. Why? Because the biggest obstacle to building wealth isn't money. It's belief. Welcome to Wealth Forge. Today, we're breaking down why saving your first $5,000 can completely change the way you think about money, opportunities, and your future. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why this number is far more powerful than most people realize. Because $5,000 isn't just a financial milestone, it's a psychological transformation. Most people think wealth starts with investing. Others think it starts with earning a high income. Some believe it begins when they launch a business. But almost every financially successful person has one thing in common. Before they built wealth, they learned how to save. Saving sounds boring. It doesn't create flashy headlines. Nobody posts screenshots of a savings account on social media. But saving teaches the single most important money skill in existence: delayed gratification. The ability to sacrifice today for a bigger tomorrow. And that's the foundation of every form of wealth. Think about it. Investing requires delayed gratification. Building a business requires delayed gratification. Learning valuable skills requires delayed gratification. Even getting out of debt requires delayed gratification. The people who master this skill gain an advantage that compounds for the rest of their lives. And saving your first $5,000 proves you've developed it. But there's another reason this milestone is so important. Before you save $5,000, life feels different. Every unexpected expense feels like a disaster. A broken phone, a medical bill, a car repair, a family emergency. Anything can throw your finances into chaos. You're constantly reacting, constantly worried, constantly hoping nothing goes wrong. Financial stress becomes part of everyday life. And when you're stressed, you make worse decisions. You take bad jobs. You accept unfair treatment. You avoid opportunities. You choose short-term relief over long-term growth. Not because you're lazy, not because you're irresponsible, because survival mode changes the way your brain works. When every dollar matters, your focus shrinks. You stop thinking about next year. You start thinking about next week. Sometimes even tomorrow. But when you reach $5,000 in savings, something changes. You finally have breathing room. You realize you can survive problems. You realize emergencies won't instantly destroy your finances. You stop feeling trapped. And that's incredibly powerful, because confidence changes behavior. Imagine two people. Person A has $50 in their account. Person B has $5,000. Who negotiates better? Who takes more calculated risks? Who feels less desperate? Who can walk away from a toxic workplace? Who can handle an unexpected bill without panic? The answer is obvious. The money creates options, and options create power. One of the biggest myths about money is that wealth only changes your life once you become rich. That's not true. Financial freedom happens in stages. The first stage isn't becoming a millionaire. It's escaping constant financial fear. And for many people, $5,000 is where that process begins. Now let's talk about another hidden benefit: momentum. Human beings are heavily influenced by evidence. We believe what we've proven to ourselves. Before saving $5,000, many people secretly doubt their ability to manage money. Maybe they've failed budgets before. Maybe they've overspent repeatedly. Maybe they've struggled with debt. Maybe they've always felt bad with money. Then they save $5,000. Suddenly, they have evidence. Real evidence. Not motivation, not wishful thinking. Proof that they can set a goal and achieve it. Proof that they can control spending. Proof that they can delay gratification. Proof that they can make financial progress. And once someone sees proof, their identity begins to change. This is where the magic happens. Because lasting financial success isn't about tactics. It's about identity. A person who believes they're irresponsible with money behaves differently from a person who believes they're disciplined. A person who sees themselves as broke behaves differently from someone who sees themselves as financially capable. The first $5,000 helps rewrite that identity. You stop saying, "I wish I was good with money," and start saying, "I am good with money." That's a massive shift. And identity changes are often more valuable than the money itself. Here's something else most people never realize. Your first $5,000 teaches you that small amounts matter. Many people never start saving because they underestimate tiny actions. They think, what's the point of saving 10? What's the point of saving $20? What's the point of skipping one unnecessary purchase? But when you finally reach $5,000, you look back and realize something important. The money didn't arrive all at once. It came from hundreds of tiny decisions, tiny choices, tiny sacrifices, tiny improvements. And that's exactly how wealth works. People often imagine wealth as a giant breakthrough, a huge promotion, a lottery ticket, a viral business, a lucky investment. But most wealth is built through consistency, small actions repeated over long periods of time. Your first $5,000 teaches this lesson better than any book ever could, because you've lived it, you experienced it firsthand. And experience is a far better teacher than theory. Now let's discuss opportunity. Most people think opportunities appear first, then money follows. But often it's the opposite. Money creates opportunities. Imagine you find a course that could improve your career. Imagine you discover a side hustle opportunity. Imagine you need equipment for freelance work. Imagine you need to relocate for a better job. Without savings, those opportunities may disappear. Not because they aren't good, but because you can't afford to act. This is one reason wealthy people often seem luckier. They aren't always luckier. They're simply prepared. When opportunities appear, they can move quickly. They have resources. They have flexibility. They have options. And your first $5,000 begins building that flexibility. It's like creating a bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Another powerful thing happens when you save $5,000. You stop viewing money as something that instantly disappears. This sounds simple, but it's huge. For many people, every paycheck arrives and leaves almost immediately. Money feels temporary, like water running through your fingers. You never see it accumulate. You never see it grow. You never experience ownership. But a savings balance changes that. You open your account, and the number remains there. Week after week, month after month, you begin seeing money differently. Instead of something to spend, it becomes something to keep, something to protect, something to grow, and that shift changes your entire financial future. Because wealth isn't built by earning money, it's built by keeping money long enough for it to multiply. Let's talk about confidence. Confidence is often misunderstood. Most people think confidence comes before success, but in reality, success often creates confidence. Saving your first $5,000 is proof that you can do difficult things, and every achievement creates a reference point in your mind. The next challenge feels smaller. The next goal feels achievable. The next milestone feels realistic. Suddenly, investing doesn't seem impossible. Saving $10,000 doesn't seem impossible. Starting a business doesn't seem impossible. Building wealth doesn't seem impossible. Because you've already conquered the first mountain, and that's why the first mountain matters so much. The first $5,000 is usually harder than the second. Why? Because during the first journey, you're building habits. You're fighting old behaviors. You're learning discipline. You're developing systems. You're changing your mindset. Once those systems exist, progress accelerates. It's similar to pushing a heavy car. The hardest part is getting it moving. After momentum builds, keeping it moving becomes easier. Money works the same way. Finally, let's talk about what $5,000 really represents. It isn't $5,000. It's proof. Proof that you can delay gratification. Proof that you can stay consistent. Proof that you can overcome financial mistakes. Proof that you can build discipline. Proof that you can think long-term. Proof that you're capable of creating a different future. And those lessons are worth far more than the money itself. Because the habits that create $5,000 are the same habits that eventually create $50,000, then $500,000, and sometimes even more. The amount changes. The principles don't. So if you're currently working toward your first $5,000, don't underestimate what you're doing. You're not just building a savings account. You're building a new identity, a new mindset, a new relationship with money. And that transformation may end up being one of the most important financial victories of your entire life. Because the day you save your first $5,000 isn't the day you become wealthy. It's the day you finally realize that wealth is possible. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Wealth Forge for more practical insights on money, investing, and financial freedom. And tell us in the comments, how close are you to your first $5,000 savings goal? Or if you've already reached it, what changed for you afterward?